The topic for the next discussion is Mind of over Matter Digital Advertising Stretched in the Digitized World. It's a fireside chat between Mr. Rana Barua, Group CEO, Havis Group India, who will be joined in conversation with Gaurav Rakshit, COO, Viacom ATM Digital Ventures. I request you to take the stage. Thank you.
Shall we start?
Yeah, Rana, can you
Gaurav,
hear me?
hi.
Hi,
Hi. Yeah, I'm clear. Absolutely. Good to see you, Gaurav.
nice to
How are
see you.
things? All good?
All good, all good.
Okay. No, so I think I joined, around 10, 15 minutes. So I was listening to the interesting chat that
Yeah,
was going on. So pretty relevant, I think, to the environment. And I think it's a good way of taking our conversations forward to saying that, what is happening. And I think nobody better than you to give us some insights on what's happening in the entire digital world and the advertising world, especially. So I think we'll try and make it more relevant, uh, especially coming from you and the kind of conversation that is happening in the world of digital. So I think I'll start off the first question, which is to the point questions, and then we can, start opening up. I think digital advertising, we've realized, and over time, and naturally with this entire, plethora of the kind of stuff that's happening in the industry, has a very detailed, clear ROI measurement that we've been seeing. Yet, continue to see that there is a clear, kind of a stiff competition that comes from the traditional media like TV and print, and we keep questioning and debating the ROI. And it's a conversation that's going on. While there's a humongous conversation in all clients, every agency, every network agency, and all clients saying that this is how the world will behave, this is how it will happen. So what is your take on that, and how are you seeing that, and what's your point of view? Because I think some of the other questions will also link into this, but I think it will give us a good overview of what you've been seeing.
sure. Recently, I was on the advertiser side of things, and so I obviously have a sense of both sides of it. I think uh, the large macroeconomic reality that I see, which is in the streaming space, is that attention is moving to streaming, right? And so it's more and more consumption of streaming is where public attention is moving. I think that is a one-way road. I don't think that that's going to go away. Now, advertising perhaps is the grease that makes this engine go, in terms of how do you capitalize on that attention in a way that is valuable for brands and is not sort of disruptive for consumers. Of course, it is interrupt at some level, but fundamentally, how do you balance that? And I think that's very much the journey we're all on. Having I guess marketed for as long as I have and seen the shift across media, I recognize one of the challenges that one has when one moves from uh, traditional forms of media to digital is that well, there are a few of them. The first one that you touched upon, I think, is that the to some sense the curse of ROI, right? I think most good advertisers have a sense of where their money goes and what their money delivers, even in traditional media, and I've always built that science. Digital allows you to have a much more tactile feel in terms of consumer behavior and seeing, whether those clicks lead to your site, etc. What that performance actually means at an aggregate level, where you're dealing with CTRs from anywhere between 0.5% to 2%, and what that does to the balance 98%, nobody really knows, right? And so then it goes back to the area of being able to uh, understand your users. And here I say your users because it's very subjective for every brand to have that sense of what happens to the others that don't actually literally engage with the creative. And I think that science is still being built out. It's certainly more evolved in traditional media, even though it's actually more inexact. I think at some level, inexactitude doesn't make it wrong. There is still a one-eyed man in the land of the blind, and I think that that is still being figured out in the digital space. The other challenge I think that one sees is that uh, for good or bad, there is centralized measurement of traditional media. right? At some level, even though driven through samples and controversies and what have you, broadly
Yeah.
everyone agrees that that is the metric that we will judge
Yeah.
the exposure by. Now in digital media, it's a little harder because we as publishers all know our metrics intimately. And so it's much harder for a third party to come and provide a central data store, which is very easy to controvert because we know our own numbers, which is not baggage that's available in the traditional media. So I think some of these things we will have to understand and accept as being the way of the future, because the existence of video on demand makes it much harder for a central agency to track than when there is a limited amount of content out there, right? And so then there are many varieties of tracking tools that one can bring to bear. Given the width available, it is a very, very staggering challenge. Somebody was talking about brand safety earlier, and I think it's a very important part, is that given the width of content, it's very difficult to know exactly where your ads are running unless you put stock in a publisher or go to publishers, because there is no way for you to actually quote unquote know. So some of these challenges are obviously going to will shape the industry of the future. But my view is that, and digital has always proven this, is that if as soon as you find consumer attention moving in a particular way, people will figure it out. They want to figure it out. It's just that I think people are figuring out their own lens on this. So that's sort of my take on it. And so I think that it is very much a journey that we are walking the road on with our advertisers, our agencies, to try and figure that out, because there is value to be created, I think, given that that's where consumer attention is.
No, I think very interesting point, Gaurav. And while listening to you, I was, kind of figuring with this thought is to say that because you've been on the client side, and a very interesting point that you brought out, and I think a lot of us experience that on a very ongoing basis, is that while the media agency will still go ahead and have very clear plans and conversations and whatever with the client about whatever, there is a very clear mandate when you do the traditional bit. The client knows this is what I expect, this is my sales, these are my GRPs, this is what I want. In the digital format, apart from the overall execution and planning and whatever you go ahead and suggest, you're right that the benchmarks become very clear, unless it's very linked to ROI or some kind of e-com model or some kind where you know that the agency has come back with certain things. So, which brings me to a point. What do you see as, so this question can be now divided into many parts, and that's the fun of this question, is there is a pre-pandemic, there is a pandemic here, and now we are hoping for the world to open up in a better world to come in.
Right.
If I had to have this conversation a year back before the pandemic, I would have said, so Gaurav, what are the digital trends that are you seeing? You would have given me an answer, which is some world. So I'm going to ask you this question in relevance to, you don't need to go back to last year. You need to just say that, where do you see the big changes happen apart from the digital adoption and everything that's happened? Have you seen some dramatic something that, while we are all discussing all these conversations which happened this year over last year, which necessarily is going to create fundamentally a big difference going forward, versus me asking you a very straightforward question. So Gaurav, what are the new trends you're seeing? So the question in one line is, what is that humongously different thing that you saw that happened between what we were thinking will happen last year to this year, which is, kind of shaken that thing? And going forward, what are you seeing some of the new fundamentally different trends emerging? Or is it 2019 happened, 20 was a pandemic, and now it moves on to the same trends?
Sure. It's a good question. I'll talk of it from both the demand and supply side. Supply for us being users. And I think that digital only goes one way. It keeps increasing, right? But there was this short period in the pandemic during the early stages of lockdown where we were the only original content out there, because content production was not available for television, which was in large means where people's attention was. And then there was also the lockdown in theaters and cinemas. So I think that what it did was it accelerated the adoption by a lot of users that would have taken a lot longer to come onto the platform. It is not that they wouldn't. I think that there is only one direction that people go in, but we got this massive access to people that would have taken their own pace to come onto digital. And I'm talking about digital video streaming in particular. Now, when I'm talking about these people, though, what's interesting is that they, and obviously I'm partial to the streaming side of things, but people started to not just get entertainment online, but they were doing shopping online. They were doing a lot more online, where suddenly their online consumption, not just digital, grew manifold. And you can see, there's a bunch of businesses that are that have shown dramatic growth, which are digital led businesses. Even businesses like e-commerce, where the fulfillment is offline, still found themselves as the first port of call. I think what that did was, uh, and so what the consumers were buying were, but they were buying products also that were sold traditionally, where a lot of the houses would still be fairly TV dependent. And so I think that the recognition that our not just people's attention, but also that consumption behavior is moving towards digital, created a much bigger fillip to bring these, I want to say, advertisers that would have come again anyway. I'm seeing a huge crop of traditional advertisers coming on because they're seeing the mode of consumption getting disrupted. So that was quite
Hmm.
fascinating to me. I think the consumption story is fairly evident, but I did not
Hmm.
expect to see these people coming on as much. I think there's obviously been some level of disruptions in print. There's been other reasons for that, but and not all of them are giving you huge arrows, but everyone's dipping their toe in the water, and I think it would have taken
Hmm.
them a lot longer to do that.
Hmm.
And like we were discussing upfront, this is not an industry that has already a mature science linked to it.
Hmm.
You've got to build your own science. And so the sooner people dip their toe in the water, the sooner they're going to get good at this. I mean, very
Hmm.
candidly, and I wish I had the answer to your question as an absolute, because I am also an advertiser. When we launch an
Hmm.
Oscar or we launch a show, I'm going
Hmm.
I know how to buy
Hmm.
TV
Hmm.
very cleanly.
Correct.
Even I'm trying to figure out what is the best way to play the digital world so that I get my maximum ROI. I'm doing exactly the same thing in the digital world, and I think it takes some figuring it out. And the beauty is that it's not the same for every industry. So it's not like there's a playbook that you get to turn to saying that, PNG did this, or Levers is going about it like this. So a subscription original should play it like that. Absolutely not. So you've got to build your own playbooks. And I think that I'm seeing a lot more people in the game of building that playbook. So it's an
I,
exciting
I
time.
I think, yeah, I think that's a absolutely straightforward and a very true point to say that while adoption everybody knows people have to do, but I think what you're saying is that uh, way too many. So it's interesting. You're saying that way too many people had to jump into this. They had to dip their toes into this water. You're right, and they better learn fast about the way they're going to be benchmarking, like you said. How what works, what doesn't work. There has to be something they need to, because they probably would have come in sometime later, but they've all had to come in. So
Yeah.
interesting. Coming to OTT, just one question that I thought, which is very much linked to this conversation, is to say that most of the OTTs, and that is how it is in our country, definitely, are broadcaster backed. So
There's a
most of them are, so are broadcaster backed. So in terms of how can television and digital counterparts, which naturally play a very, very important role independently in terms of both behavior, in terms of the loyalty they have, in terms of the conversations they've been doing for years and years and all, how do they complement each other? Because you don't also want to suddenly, your the idea of a media house is supposed to be that, I am going to be ensuring that this audience is going to be spending most of its time with me, and then I know I'm going to help complement. It's like that. I'm saying that's a magical potion if that ever happens in one bowl.
yes.
So how so the question is to, okay, let's ask this question to make it more interesting, is that, a, do you see that as a option or a complementary thing, or do you see it as an independent conversation completely? And B, if it is an option and the conversation, then
Sure.
what is a way that
I draw tremendous benefit from my network counterparts. I think that television provides simultaneous viewing access to a large number of people, which helps to create fandoms. And and that I think is without a doubt the hallmark of great content, is where there are people that are uh, habituated and in love with those characters. And I think television does a great job of that. I think what the bastion that we have now moved into is that video on demand and the streaming service has allowed us to time shift that typically. So the ability of a person to pick time, and I think typically you will find that digital media, the first thing that which is the lowest hanging fruit is convenience, right? You get to pick, you get to choose your time. That's broadly what we've achieved. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we're pushing the envelope much more, but as an industry, I can't say we've gone significantly beyond that. I think the next years allow us to create the second screen experience, which is truly interactive. And I think that it is a bastardized word to some extent, but the fact is that the amount of time someone spends watching a show or watching whether it's a TV show or it's an original show, it's so high, and then there's so the involvement is really for that purpose, that it gives you the opportunity to create immersive interactive opportunities within that. And I think that that is where digital can go. That is actually our destiny. Our destiny is not to move content online to offline. I mean, I think that's just sort of a convenience aspect that we bring to the table. But I think that when you can add value to the content, because by definition it is two-way, it is dialogue. The internet is built on that. As soon as you start to being able to harness that power, whether it is us, me, as Root as a platform, or a brand, to be able to engage with that consumer, that is when I think that we will start to step through our destiny. And I don't think that that in any way compromises what television delivers, because and I think that we're fortunate also at some sense in
Yeah.
the Indian context is that we are already underpenetrated severely, and so the headroom
Yeah.
on television itself is fairly significant. So I'm not
Sure.
seeing that one industry impinging on the other as yet.
True.
Uh,
Yeah. So in a way, you're saying that the complementing continues and it keeps benefiting, isn't it?
yes,
So
we keep trying to
it
find ways that we can
ways, yeah,
take a more valuable proposition to the consumer as a joint entity.
absolutely. So in terms of all the, the content that we keep seeing now naturally this is across digital and, a lot going behind paywalls and, naturally that's a way to go in the future, which is absolutely a must. Uh, how do you see advertisers start accessing the audience? Because I think, this naturally is correlates to many other questions that keeps coming in the head
Yeah.
is that, but the first question would be that how do you see advertisers access audience here?
So I think that the reality is that we're really in the early stages of this game, right? Consumers have
So,
now moved their attention to digital streaming, but en masse we don't have subscription other than for events like cricket or something like that, where you get
true,
really large take rate. Everything else is fairly
true.
small. As this number starts to grow, I do think that these consumer groups are extremely valuable to advertisers, and I do think that that is going to continue to be the opportunity that uh, I think that you could have a ultra premium kind of service where you will have no ads, but which will be again very tip of the pyramid. But as long as subscription services, when we start to broad base and get to big numbers, I don't think they will be devoid of advertising. I I would argue that most consumers are certainly paying for the content, and maybe they're happy with the absence of advertising. But I think just like on TV, content is great, and they're still paying the subscription and can consume advertising. I think the large middle of consumers will be quite comfortable with that balance.
No, so that that brings me to some questions that a lot of us have been asking, and actually a lot of conversations that happen with us and with the clients, and actually with some of our global counterparts and all, because they naturally a lot of them are seeing our India numbers, and they keep seeing that OTTs of the fabulous numbers, and naturally people are excited, because anything about India, the numbers become so staggering, and the adoption happens so quickly. So few questions on that just to understand is that, do you see a kind of a split that's happening in terms of overall a generalized, like television got positioned as a general entertainment and then became very strongly into regional? Are you seeing OTT going that way? Because the next question that I will ask you to link to that is to say that should advertisers then start looking at from now? Because rather like you said, while we are in early stages and early days, but we've got many learnings from many other
Yeah.
industries and we know how the behavior is happening. So the question that I'm asking is that going forward, are you seeing a clear split in terms of content, in terms of behavior, in terms of how I'm going to be be in the channel and the OTT and the way I adopt? And should advertisers start looking at it from right now and understand that this is how it is going to be?
Sure. So I think that the it actually puts a lot more. I don't want to say pressure, but it gives advertisers a lot more quote unquote rope to hang themselves. So the point being that I think that digital goes beyond just being a platform to being
Hmm.
able to take you down into audiences, right?
Hmm.
That is a significant opportunity that you can unlock. And so whether the audience is defined by people who would be willing to pay for a subscription, it could be wine lovers, it could be people who are sort of fond of travel, whatever segment that makes sense to you. Now the challenge is that, but the science is imperfect, right? It's
Hmm.
always an approximation of the truth. And so the advertiser needs to be very sure of saying that, uh, do I need to be over-indexed on a very narrow audience, or do I need to be reach biased, which can mop up the audience that is necessary to me?
Hmm.
And that goes,
Hmm.
and it's different strokes for different folks. It changes your proposition, right? So I think that, assuming that and a very poor example is that if you're trying to look at a travel segment,
Yeah.
there's a difference in the approach you would take if you're selling, uh, travel bags versus you're selling cruise packages. You might
Yeah.
still be looking at people who like to travel, but your segmentation would be completely different. And so it sort of forces you to understand that, look, not, uh, you know, quote unquote, better information about people doesn't necessarily always translate to what you thought is the right audience for your product. And so that
No,
power comes
yeah.
with that.
No, because I think no, but it's again like very, very interesting because you're right because I think that is how I think a lot of the audience and the profiling and that medium allows you. And off late, you know, we are also seeing many of our conversations where in the advertising agency side, like we are seeing it happen in the entertainment and media side, and you're a ex-client yourself, and you've seen the change happening where in a lot of client and media mix and all, they're actually moving budgets out dramatically and moving into this medium, which means also naturally the expertise that is required and the understanding that is required has totally changed. So in terms of the mediums and all, one of the challenges that we keep facing, and naturally that's a challenge till we settle in. Do you see it as something as like you were discussing the trends and the emerging mediums? Do you see it as a clear-cut captive audience? Because there's a huge debate that keeps going on, and I'll ask you, and I'd like to actually, it's a point of view I want to know from you is that are you are you seeing? I will not use a strong word, but are you seeing certain mediums slowly moving out of the consumer's life, which is the emerging youth, the Indian young population? And are you seeing them adopt a new medium like digital of any form, the OTT? They are very clear about, like you said, the kind of music they want to listen to, the kind of shows they want to listen to. Uh, are you seeing that happen over the next few years? It's naturally something which we are all debating and how it will happen. But what is your take?
So I think the incidence of cord cutters is real, and I think that it is certainly skewed more towards the bubble that we all are a part of. And so I hesitate to use anecdotal evidence for representing the larger India. And I think
Sure.
that is part of the challenge of being
Exactly.
in these positions, is that our milieu is the bubble.
Okay.
And the question is whether that is whether it's a large spread trend. I'm not seeing it, at least beyond the larger urban metro audiences as yet. And but the incidence is there. I can't say
Sure.
that it's not present. I think that the medium has also done one of the things it's done well, I think, is that it has also pushed the linear television industry to start to tell more interesting stories, because the advantage of this medium, and we're all broadcasters, is that you get to experiment with what audiences will like a lot more than you would, because the way you mount a TV show is quite different. And I think that they're also borrowing learnings from here and bringing it to the traditional medium that audiences love. So I think that that's they're both feeding off each other in some sense, which is nice.
No, fine. Yeah, so I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think, being at the places and the kind of conversations we do, it's actually a very strong point when somebody actually, when we read or we listen that somebody says something, it becomes quite a debate because, a lot of our clients and most of our clients, and you would also vouch for that, because we still see certain mediums as, like you said, the lead medium and the reach medium, and then you add value to the expertise medium by saying, okay, this is what I'm reaching out, so I'll go to this thing. Two probably maybe last questions. I know we have time, but two questions that is naturally something which is top of mind, and I'm sure you guys are facing also. So there is on the OTT platform, naturally, there is a lot of conversations in terms of the kind of content and the stuff, because I think what OTT's originality or the entire novelty, if I may use the word, was the kind of conversations and engagements and stories and the kind of original content that was coming out. And some of the stuff that we see in most of the platforms are even the Indian content. Some of the latest ones we've been seeing fascinating stuff, and the kind of stuff we are showing, which is also actually drawing a lot of great talent. So it leads me to a point that there's such fantastic talent we are suddenly seeing coming out. The moment you start putting embargoes, and the moment you start controlling it, the moment you start putting a lot of do's and don'ts and all, and we've seen many industries, many of such networks, many such media houses facing problems. The moment I start saying allowed, not allowed, do, don't, I I'm not asking you to take a stance or something, but what's your point of view? Means, is that sensible? Is that healthy? This is an eternal debate. We can keep debating, but I'm just saying, because why this domain, this entire conversation I'm asking, because you started by saying, we are in our early stages. We just started taking those large steps in a country which is suddenly booming with the digital world. The entire world is looking at us saying, wow, there's a humongous audience profile. And suddenly you started putting embargoes now.
Right.
What are your feelings? And like I said, you don't need to have a clear cut, but what do you think? Is it good? Is it bad? How do we manage it?
I use the opportunity also to just to clarify that no embargoes have been put as yet. So there is a lot of froth in
I know.
media, and I appreciate it's a subject.
Yeah.
It's a subject of significant interest to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Frankly, that's not there. We're obviously together as a digital streaming industry, and there's a bunch of us that have come together. I think there is still need for us to create some common rules of the game. Right? And I think that as an industry, we recognize that, which is why we're sort of moving forward in this self-regulation space, which the ministry has been fairly encouraging of as well. And I think that is necessary, because the reality is, you're right, we're nascent. At the same time, we do have reach at this point. And so that along with that comes a responsibility to put in a framework. I'm certain that it will evolve, and I don't think that one can be extremely prescriptive at this stage. Is my point of view. But you've got to start, because we are disproportionately attracting the attention of our audiences. I think that we're putting out very, very creative content, and to your point, we don't want to sort of throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's giving an avenue for so many people to tell so many creative stories. I think the creative fraternity themselves have got really, really excited about this, and it is frankly one of the things that Indians, just not in India, but the world over, and content travels, just like you may have seen that things can get dubbed and stuff like that. So I think it is just the beginning. I completely buy into that point of view. But at our scale, even a beginning is big. India is all about big numbers.
So if I may use this forum to say that this is I've got one of the most sensible answers, and very well put, without you batted it well, if I may say it, Gaurav. So you've given me clarity, at the same time you've left me. Maybe we'll have this discussion offline where I'll get more stuff out of you. But which brings me back to probably the last question, which you started this entire thing. Very, very interesting point. And I was thinking about it, that, because I've been having a lot of conversations, a lot of our associations we've been discussing and all, and we realized that the ROI continues to be a challenge. And I think you summed it up extremely well at the beginning by saying that we are adopting it fast. We need to understand. But do you see a proper, and again, the reason I'm asking this is because the way you put it across actually was made me thinking that you're absolutely right, that the internal metrics are different for every single client, from the other client to the other client to the other client, versus when we discuss a plan for any other medium. So then how do we get into some kind of some kind of an ROI, external or whoever? We need to, how do you fix it? What is where do you?
The way I've done it in the past, and I continue to do it now, is uh, the more you do, knowing that you will get some of them wrong, uh, but let's say that you spent, you did a large campaign, then you went off, you did your year-round philosophy is probably not going to be at an even high keel. And so you will have to now unpeel your numbers, obviously, suppress for Diwali, what is your natural bump and stuff like that, and start to build that and start to say, I think this is what's happening. And then with every passing month, it either reinforces or forces you to build a new science. That is the only way to do it, is to be manically obsessed with what you're delivering and continuously to try and build your hypothesis. And every passing month either further confirms it or it rejects it, in which case you need to add that nuance to your thinking. I mean, but I'm not saying something that's new for marketers. They've had to do it all along for traditional media.
Yeah,
I don't think there is a substitute for that when a new medium comes along that doesn't operate exactly quite the same. The difference being, for example, that you're one click away from WhatsApp. That is not a reality that TV has to deal with.
Absolutely.
And so the attention spans, all of that, this medium will have its own sort of outcome metrics. You have to do the hard yards of investing in that again. And, we're all doing it. I'm as much an advertiser in that sense. And I'm trying to figure out the little method in the madness and keep trying to get better.
Oh, so, okay. So I think that's absolutely fair. And, because I have time, I just want to add one last question. I'm sorry if I told you that those were the two last questions. Do you think it also, because, and this is something actually I'm trying to understand for my own knowledge so that I can probably quote you in some of my client meetings and all. I'm just trying to understand, linked to the ROI. Do you also believe that it is because, like you just said, that, because we, all the marketers are aware of the flights and pulses that they're doing and they know this is it also because you feel that the outlay will never be, or the risk on the ROI will never be, let's say, the other mediums, because it is become much easier to execute, get in, get out, like we say, versus saying you are in and you're stuck and then you have to pull out. I'm not getting into the medium specific language. I'm just trying to say, do you think that that also is a reason why some of these stringent ROI principles are yet to start forming? Or
no, I mean, actually, conversely, and I used to represent a digital business earlier.
Yeah.
What used to work digitally, we would hold on manically. In fact, we would we would pulse our traditional media campaigns.
Got it.
As a particular this thing, but what works, once you figure out a little bit of science, you don't let that go, man. You hold on to that for dear life. Is the way we used to do it. The advantage of digital is that should you want to, you have a thesis, right? You're saying that maybe X million impressions will deliver me this kind of growth in search. You have some result metric that you care for.
Fair.
The opportunity to double down in AP and use the rest of the market as a control. You have the opportunity to do so many cool things that unfortunately it is you don't have the excuse to not do that, because you don't have to do all of India, which perhaps if you're doing a GEC plan, etc., becomes a little trickier.
Absolutely.
So I'm saying that's
perfect.
I feel for the marketers. I am one.
No, thank you. Absolutely fantastic speaking to you, Gaurav. And I think like always, it's absolutely fascinating to know what's happening and the kind of changes and everything, like we discussed. I'm opening this for anybody to ask questions. If anybody has any questions, and if you will want to ask, we have time. Otherwise, please free to.
Sir, there was one question.
Yeah,
why don't you ask about the growth of data-driven storytelling and how potent it is for brands. So maybe you can take that.
That's interesting. I don't think of storytelling as data-driven. Storytelling has a very a very well-established model in terms of how you nudge people to a particular way of thinking. Whether we're doing long form web series, whether we're doing film, whether we're doing television, and whether you're putting ads or you're trying to influence them towards a brand, right? So in that sense, I think the data is more confirmatory. And so you go in with a hypothesis, and the data helps you know whether you won or lost, or whether you were able to make the difference that you thought that you went in to make. I don't know that one should use data to tell the story itself. I mean, that to me that is restrictive, because beyond the data, there is a need for this creative leap, and those you have to make that creative leap, because that is the hardest thing in this industry, right? Which is capturing the imagination of a consumer. That is the most expensive real estate, and all the cliches there. So data will not get you all the way. Data might point you in the right direction, but the creative leap is really where the storytelling meets your intuition and whatever data you have available. So that's kind of how I would at least look at storytelling,
I
whether
think,
it's brand
yeah,
story.
totally
Rana, you
agree.
should be able to answer that better than me, man. I'm not answering.
No, I think you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Means it was a very interesting question. I wanted to see who asked, because if storytelling gets into that kind of pinpointed data and trying to figure out what will start working, I think that's going to be quite fascinating. But I agree with you. Vijaya, you've joined finally, and good to see
Thank
you.
you, Rana. Thank you. Thank you, Gaurav. I'm sorry I blacked out at that time. Yeah. Thank you for your time.
You meant your camera blacked out, right?
Yeah. Finally, I met my camera. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks, Gaurav. We'll catch up. Thank you.
We will, Rana.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.